one very, very nice comment I heard from a person dear to me when I was in a very difficult time of my life a couple of years ago, was keep breathing. And it sounds very simple, yet quite difficult, because straight away when you are in stress, you stop breathing, and to actually start getting back in touch with yourself and acknowledge even your anxiety and your fear and make it your friend rather than your enemies.
Hello, everyone. I am Melissa Forziat of Take the Doughnut, here to help you get inspiration and get donuts. I'm a motivational keynote speaker, and today I am bringing you a Take the Doughnut interview with Joanna Leunis, who, sit tight, let me tell you what Joanna Leunis is all about. She's a professional Latin Ballroom dancer who is a 10 times UK and international championship winner, 8-time Blackpool Championship record holder, professional, also a 1-time Blackpool Amateur Champion, and a 5-time professional world champion. I cannot believe I'm talking to Joanna right now. Welcome, Joanna.
Thank you. Nice to be here, and nice to meet you, Melissa. Thank you for having me on board.
Thank you for doing this. It's so wonderful. I mean, I have to start with my obligatory question before we get into anything more serious. What is your favorite donut, if you have one?
Well, actually, I must admit it's donut was never really a part of my upbringing or my culture. I come from Belgium, and we are more into croissant and pain au chocolat. So never really was into donuts prior to talking to you about this. And then I recently spoke to my daughter about it, actually, because she very much loved donuts, and I thought, like, I remembered the one that she loved, but I thought maybe her taste changed. And she said to me, actually, she loved, and she made a little mistake there, because she said, I love Krispy Kreme, but I think she meant Krispy Kreme, the factory, obviously. And she actually really loves the original glazed donut, which is also one that I actually tasted as well in the meantime, and I very much like it as well. So I'll say that I like the original one.
Oh, that's amazing. So for you and your daughter, the Krispy Kreme, and for you alone, the pain au chocolat is what we'll take today as well.
Yeah,
I love those too. Well, I said just a little bit about you up front, but tell us more about yourself. What should we know about you?
Yes, I mean, I must admit that it's always a little bit challenging for me to talk about myself. I don't particularly feel so, let's say, confident, or as my dad used to say, you're too humble. I don't know if it's true, but anyways, as you said, you mentioned all the titles. That's, of course, one very important part of having this incredible career and being very blessed with that. But if I go a little bit deeper and go back to my childhood, let's say, and where I come from, I must also say that I think I'm a bit of a fighter, a bit of a survivor. And definitely I don't let challenges take the better of me. So I'm quite let's say goal orientated, but in a way of pursuing my wills and my beliefs and all that. So yeah, going back to as long as I can remember, I was dancing. So dancing was part of my upbringing from the very young age. I think I danced, my first step were dancing steps with my dad at first, and then my grandpa in the wheelchair. I used to twirl him around all the time in our house. So dancing was always, in my needs, in my blood. It was like an oxygen for me. But then during my childhood, I encountered quite a few challenges, which I'm sure we can come back to them a bit later. And I don't often actually talk about those things, but I must say that I think it's a great opportunity. And I've watched some of the other interview, and I find your your question is very interesting and the content very insightful. So I think it's quite important as well, in a way, for other people to know a bit more deeper on all the type of challenges that one can encounter. Anyway, so I encountered quite a few challenges as a child, and that had quite a strong impact on me. 3 of them major impact on me. But anyways, to cut it a bit shorter, all those challenges only made me stronger and made me more determined to go further and pursue my dancing passion. So I can honestly say that dancing saved my life in some ways.
Well, I am really looking forward to getting into those with you, and we'll definitely be able to talk about challenges as we go through today. Let me reset this interview for those who've never seen a Take the Doughnut interview before. Why are we talking about Take the Doughnut? So for me, Take the Doughnut is it's an expression that means carpe diem, go after the things that you want in life. And it comes from this very strange thing that happened to me in college, where I left an actual donut on a table. But that became an object lesson for me in what it looks like to leave opportunities behind. So I don't want to do that anymore. I want to take the donut instead of leaving it behind. And I'll link a video here for those who haven't seen that before, that story. But basically, this conversation is all about what it looks like to go after the things that you want in life, the goals, the opportunities that come up, and practically speaking, what that means for us. So for you, Joanna, here's a question about, how are you with going after goals? What is that process like for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I am maybe because of my insecurities and the fact that I'm not totally certain of myself, which is a little bit also due to the one bad experience I had in my childhood. I prepare very, very strongly for anything that I have to put my mind into. So I'm very driven and I direct myself quite strongly, 100% into whatever it is that I want to achieve or do. And I think I commit very strongly as well to the goal, and I stay committed. I'm not afraid of the hard pain work of repetition and sticking to it, despite maybe the pain or whatever is going in the way, or external factors. I'm quite focused and quite into the thing. I might not be so wide in a sense of being multitask. I like to focus on one thing at a time, but definitely giving it my 200% ability.
Preparation sounds really important for you, and it sounds like almost a coping mechanism for challenges you've had in the past. When you have a really big goal, something that's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of skill building, a lot of networking, what do you do to stay motivated in that process if you know it's going to be a while?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I'm blessed that I found dancing as my passion. So dancing definitely keeps me motivated. It has this endorphin and this adrenaline that the body needs on a daily basis for me. So for me, that's just a right combination of mind, body, and soul, and the fact that I've been dipped into it for a very, very long time. It's basically all that I know. So I think dancing is partly what really keeps me going every day, whether it is that I still perform nowadays, but also in the teaching ways. I am I tend to really, again, make a lot of effort in how I'm going to handle the lecturing and the teaching. And I've always been quite let's say original in the way I do things on the dance floor. So I try to also implement this in my couples and push that part of individuality and sense of personal statement to everything that they do. And so that keeps me definitely motivated on a more emotional level, and maybe on a more actually also emotional level would be my daughter. She keeps me definitely on the edge of keeping everything running, on my own, of course, for a couple of years now. So making everything to the best possible abilities for her, and to make it safe and happy and healthy, of course. So yeah.
Oh, that's beautifully said. You've mentioned challenges a few times already so far in this conversation. A lot of times when we go after things that we want, challenges come up. And I know you've also had some specific challenges that you've been thinking about as you've been talking here. So what challenges you? What are some of the obstacles that have come up in your world?
Yeah, I mean, I what challenges me is very often, of course, we deal, again, talking a bit about this beautiful world of ballroom dancing, which might sound very often like a fairy tale, or might look on the outside a bit like a fairy tale, two people dancing together. And of course, there is this level of strong bond that is created through the dancing. And then, of course, it also creates very often some more private bond. And so there is a bit of a struggle sometimes dealing with two personalities. So for me, it's more actually about the emotional side, to not let the emotional take the better of me, to accept and understand that there are, it takes two, of course, to tango, but there are two persons involved, and it doesn't always go the way I want it to go. And to be quite assertive in that way, and to be quite rational and a little bit maybe more business-like to these days. I feel that is a bit more where my line of work or of belief needs to be, because I could be a little too emotionally attached, and then realize that I end up maybe on my own, and then I struggle with, oh, what do I do now? So yeah, I've dealt with it. Of course, now I know that I can do it, and even though I've had one of the best, I guess, the best career in the ballroom dancing world than anybody had, and at a very young age, I was world champion at 18, which was the youngest ever. So in that way, I proved to everyone coming from a little country, Belgium, that had no dancing, where ballroom dancing was unknown. After discovering a double scoliosis in my back, and the doctor said that I needed an iron bar, and I could forget completely about dancing, let alone just maybe lace my shoe. So, and of course, I went against his will, against this specialist will, and I begged my parents not to go through with this operation, and I started dancing. So obviously I was determined to prove to him as well that I was going to do it no matter what. And so this so yeah, so in that, but even though I had, like I said, I have this side of me that is very, very strong, but I also have this side of me that feels that she gets quite attached, let's say, to a certain person, and then struggles to be alone. And in that moment, I realized that I can actually be good and okay on my own, and make it happen, despite the circumstances. And that is something that I built over the year, but I'm getting, I'm good, actually. I'm better with it.
Such important lessons that you learned through that process.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you look back on your life and you think about every opportunity that you've taken, what would you say is the biggest donut that you've ever taken?
Yes, that's that's a nice question. I think the biggest donut was definitely in my dancing career. Like I already said, I was world champion at a very young age, amateur, with a certain partner, with Slavik Kriklivi. And then I moved on to dancing with a very special person dear to my heart, who was actually my dance teacher at first, my idol at first, then my dance teacher, and then ended up as being my partner. And I danced with him for a couple of years, and we made the final in the professional field. Anyway, so I was already settled as an amateur champion and then professional finalist. and we split because of age differences and different ambitions. And then I stereotypically in the ballroom dance world, it's pretty traditional. It's never really like that a woman, let's say, a woman takes a woman that is already at a certain level takes up another man, a partner that is not seated and that has no name basically. And but I wanted to do it my way. I didn't want to just do it the easy way. I wanted to rebuild my career with someone fresh and new. And I had this vision with a particular person, and who was not actually famous at all in the industry. I think he was quarterfinalist in the amateur. So that was a very big risk that I took, but everyone was against it. But I had this vision that with him I was gonna make it, and later on we beat the records of 8 times British Open, Blackpool champions, and all the multiple titles. So in that sense, that was a big leap for me. Yeah, it was a bit of a jump from being the finalist and world champion to dancing with someone who was not seated yet. But I believed in the product. I had this clear vision, and I wasn't afraid to take a step back for later on actually jump forward.
I'm really curious about that, actually. It sounds like instinct was very important to you during that time.
Yeah.
Were you thinking that you wanted to have a partner who was an unknown and you were going to look for who that was? Or did you see this
No.
person and think, that's the person that I need to dance with?
Yeah, it wasn't about titles or about placements or anything like that. It was really that I saw his dance, and it didn't matter for me the results, the titles, and all of that. It was more about the dancing and what I saw in him. And of course we tried first because I was uncertain. So of course we had first tryouts, and immediately I had a clear, strong push inside of me, a strong intuition that was that for me, and it needed to be him, and that was that.
Oh, that's
No.
beautiful. So in
Yeah.
terms of what's going on in your world right now, is there a donut that you're taking right now?
I mean, there's lots of donuts every day. I mean, I guess, of course, it's to keep working as hard as I can, and now having a bit more opportunities again to travel for the last couple of years. So I'm very, very busy traveling around and teaching and lecturing, and I'm enjoying the process of teaching as well very much. So I like to share also my passion, but I'm still also performing once in a while with my current partner, Victor da Silva. So we also do some shows as well. But yeah, it would be maybe nice, like a vision or a dream would be to have something more local. So like a little temple of dance near my house where I could help also couples to have a little safety haven where they can practice. Because I remember as a competitor, it was always finding the right balance between having lessons and also the right amount of practice. And for me, it's also about combining this with other forms, because my style was always about fusing different influences from different styles and bringing it all together in the pot of ballroom dancing, and then making it my own way. So it was always the way I was brought up with my coach, and from very early on, I was actually first a jazz and ballet dancer before I became a ballroom and Latin dancer. So I would love to have some facilities that has little bit of different taste of different styles, and that would be quite nice, of course.
What a wonderful goal. And so many people can benefit from that. Um, there may be people who are listening to this right now who have a donut of their own that they want to take. And maybe it's still just an idea for them, or maybe it's something they've started to work towards. What would you say to those people? Let's sprinkle some encouragement here. What would you say to those people who have a thing they want to do? They're just, maybe struggling to move forward with it.
Yes. Well, talking to myself as well, actually, it would be to stop trying to please everyone, to actually believe a bit more in each and every person's uniqueness and originality, and to stay true to who you are, and yes, not to actually give in too much to the requirement of the industry or whatever industry is influencing the person, to actually stay a bit more true to themselves and unique and original about what they actually want to do and achieve and be. That would be one thing. Also, probably one very, very nice comment I heard from a person dear to me when I was in a very difficult time of my life a couple of years ago, was keep breathing. And it sounds very simple, yet quite difficult, because straight away when you are in stress, you stop breathing, and to actually start getting back in touch with yourself and acknowledge even your anxiety and your fear and make it your friend rather than your enemies, and allowing this to pass. And once I think for me it helped that once I felt it a little bit more within myself, I could then face the reality of things and move forward. So yeah.
Such good advice. Just to stay calm, really, just to keep moving through it. So for those of us who want to follow your journey, where can we find you? What links should I put in the description?
I'm obviously on Instagram, on Facebook. I have quite a few Facebook, actually, like 2 Facebook probably. I can't even remember. Yeah, and that's it, I think.
Okay.
Also email. Yeah, email, obviously. I mean, actually, the email that you messaged me, I'm not often going on it, so it was really fate for me because I somehow forgot to check it at times. So it was quite lucky for me to get your email.
I'm so glad this worked out. Well, I'll be sure to put some links in the description for Facebook and Instagram, and your website as well, for those who are looking for, to stay in touch with the things that are happening in your world. And for those of you who liked hearing Joanna's story, be sure to like and subscribe on this video. There's so many inspirational interviews still to come. But Joanna, thank you so much for taking some time and sharing your thoughts with us about taking the donut and going after the things that you want in life.
Thank you so much as well. Really my pleasure. And nice to meet you.
It was nice to meet you too. And to everybody who's listening, go out there, get inspiration, and get donuts. Bye, everybody.
Bye.